Welcome to the Hidden Wealth Coins. What if a single penny in your pocket could erase your worries forever? Hidden among ordinary wheat pennies are rare coins born from history, mistakes, and survival that can be worth millions today. Most people spend them without looking, destroying life-changing fortune in seconds. If you own one of these coins, don't rush, don't clean, and don't sell cheaply, because one tiny cent could rewrite your destiny overnight right now. Here we go. First up, the 1953 Wheat Penny is one of those coins that looks completely ordinary at first glance, yet it quietly carries a reputation that has driven collectors, dreamers, and treasure hunters absolutely crazy for decades. Imagine pulling a small brown penny from an old drawer, a pocket, or a forgotten jar, never realizing that this tiny 1-cent coin could hold a story deeper than gold bars stacked in a vault. The United States Wheat Penny series already has a legendary status, but the 1953 issue stands out because it was struck during a powerful transition period in American history, when the nation was reshaping itself after war, industry was booming, and coin production methods were changing in subtle but important ways. This single year quietly produced coins that, under very special conditions, can rise far beyond their face value and enter a world where collectors talk in life-changing numbers. What makes the 1953 Wheat Penny truly fascinating is not just the year stamped beneath Lincoln's portrait, but the invisible details hidden within the metal itself. During this time, the U.S. Mint was working at full speed, producing millions of pennies for everyday use, yet perfection was never guaranteed. Small variations in metal flow, pressure, alignment, and planchet quality created coins that were technically different from the rest, even if the naked eye could barely notice. These differences are where fortunes are born. Coins with extraordinary sharpness, flawless surfaces, and unusual characteristics are not just pennies anymore. They become artifacts, frozen moments of history preserved in copper. In extremely rare cases, a 1953 Wheat Penny can exist in a condition so pristine that it almost defies time itself. These coins were never meant to survive untouched for decades, yet some did. When a coin remains perfectly struck, with bold wheat lines, razor-sharp lettering, and untouched fields free from scratches or wear, it enters a category that most people will never see in their lifetime. Collectors don't just pay for copper. They pay for survival, rarity, and perfection. At the highest levels of condition, prices can rise dramatically, sometimes reaching amounts that sound unbelievable to the average person holding a penny in their hand. There is also the mystery factor that fuels the legend of the 1953 Wheat Penny. Over the years, stories have circulated about unusual minting quirks, experimental strikes, and coins that escaped the system without anyone realizing their importance at the time. While most 1953 pennies are common, a tiny fraction exist that break all the rules. These coins create shockwaves in the collecting world because they prove that value is not always obvious. Sometimes wealth hides in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to recognize it. Another powerful element behind the value potential of this coin is demand. Wheat pennies are among the most collected coins on Earth. Millions of people chase them, not just in America but globally. When collectors compete for the same ultra-rare example, prices don't climb slowly, they explode. The 1953 Wheat Penny, when combined with extreme rarity, flawless condition, and collector desire, becomes more than a hobby item. It becomes a financial weapon capable of changing someone's future overnight if they truly possess the right piece. The idea of a penny turning someone into a millionaire or even pushing them toward billionaire-level wealth may sound impossible, but the coin market doesn't work on logic alone. It works on scarcity, emotion, and history. When a single coin becomes the best-known example of its kind, it can attract elite collectors, investors, and institutions willing to pay extraordinary sums just to own it. At that level, the price is no longer about cents or dollars. It becomes about prestige and ownership of something that cannot be replaced. The 1953 Wheat Penny also represents a closing chapter in American coin design. Just a few years later, the wheat ears would disappear, replaced by a new look that marked a new era. That makes every wheat penny feel like a relic from a vanished time, but the later dates like 1953 carry a special tension. They were produced when changes were coming, and coins from transitional periods often gain extra attention because they sit right on the edge between old and new. Collectors love that edge. Condition plays a brutal role here. Most 1953 wheat pennies were spent, damaged, dropped, scratched, and forgotten. They lived hard lives. That's exactly why untouched examples become so powerful. A single coin that avoided circulation, avoided cleaning, avoided corrosion, and avoided damage for decades becomes almost mythical. When grading experts confirm such a coin, the market reacts instantly. Suddenly, what was once a penny becomes a headline. This is why anyone who believes they might have a special 1953 wheat penny should never rush to sell it cheaply. Panic selling destroys fortunes. Real wealth comes from patience, verification, and understanding what you truly own. Many people have lost unimaginable value simply because they didn't realize that the difference between an ordinary coin and an extraordinary one can be invisible without expert knowledge. The coin itself doesn't shout its value. The market reveals it slowly and brutally. The story of the 1953 wheat penny is also a lesson in perspective. Wealth doesn't always arrive as gold or cash. Sometimes it arrives disguised as something small, dirty, and overlooked. This is what makes coin collecting so dangerous and so exciting at the same time. One mistake can cost you millions. One correct decision can change your life forever. That tension is what keeps collectors obsessed. Even today, stories continue to surface of old collections being rediscovered, inherited boxes being opened, and forgotten pennies being examined under proper light for the first time. Every time it happens, hope is reborn. The possibility that a 1953 wheat penny with extraordinary characteristics could still be hiding somewhere keeps the legend alive and fuels the belief that unimaginable wealth may still be sitting quietly in someone's possession. This coin is not about luck alone. It's about awareness. The people who benefit are the ones who stop, look closely, and respect what history has placed in their hands. The market rewards knowledge and punishes ignorance. That's why the same penny can be worth 1 cent to one person and a life-altering fortune to another. In the end, the 1953 wheat penny stands as a symbol of hidden power. It reminds us that value is not always obvious, that history leaves behind secrets, and that sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest potential. If you ever come across one, don't dismiss it, don't clean it, and don't rush. Because in rare situations, this humble 1-cent coin truly does have the power to rewrite someone's destiny overnight. Second up, the 1948 wheat penny is one of those coins that quietly sits at the edge of history, underestimated by most people yet deeply respected by serious collectors who understand how value truly works. At first glance, it looks like just another old copper penny with Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat ears on the back. But behind that simple design is a powerful story shaped by post-war America, industrial pressure, and a minting system that was far from perfect. This coin was born in a time when the United States was rebuilding, factories were running non-stop, and speed often mattered more than precision. That combination created ordinary pennies for daily use, but it also created rare survivors that now sit in a completely different universe of value. What makes the 1948 wheat penny special is not the year alone, but the moment in history it represents. America had just emerged from World War II, and the nation was flooded with economic energy, population growth, and rapid change. The U.S. Mint was producing massive quantities of coins to meet demand, and when production pressure rises, perfection becomes rare. Tiny differences in strike quality, metal preparation, alignment, and handling created coins that were never meant to exist as flawless objects. Yet a few did survive untouched, and those survivors are the reason the 1948 wheat penny has gained a legendary reputation among elite collectors. In extremely rare circumstances, a 1948 wheat penny can exist in a condition so exceptional that it feels almost unreal. These coins show razor-sharp details, full wheat lines, bold lettering, smooth fields, and a natural surface that has never been cleaned, damaged, or worn by circulation. Such a coin is not just old copper, it is frozen time. When a coin like this is examined and confirmed at the highest condition level, its value no longer follows normal rules. At that point, collectors are not buying a penny, they are competing for ownership of perfection. The market for rare coins is driven by emotion as much as logic, and the 1948 wheat penny sits right at the center of that emotional storm. Wheat pennies are among the most loved and widely collected coins in the world. Millions of people search for them, but only a microscopic number will ever see a top-tier 1948 example in person. When demand is global and supply is almost non-existent, prices don't rise slowly. They leap. This is how a 1-cent coin enters conversations involving millions of dollars, private negotiations, and silent bidding wars that never reach the public eye. Another layer of mystery surrounding the 1948 wheat penny comes from the reality that not all valuable coins announce themselves loudly. Some carry their importance quietly, hiding in collections, jars, or inherited boxes for decades. Over the years, collectors have learned that extraordinary coins don't always look dramatic at first glance. Their power lies in subtle details, original surfaces, and untouched history. This is why people who unknowingly sell old pennies cheaply sometimes later discover they let go of something that could have rewritten their entire future. The idea that a penny could change someone's life overnight may sound impossible to outsiders, but the coin world has never been fair or predictable. When a single coin becomes recognized as one of the finest known examples of its type, it can attract buyers whose resources are almost unlimited. At that level, money becomes secondary to ownership. Wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions don't hesitate when they believe a coin represents something irreplaceable. That is where unimaginable numbers begin to appear, and where a simple wheat penny becomes a financial phenomenon. The 1948 wheat penny also holds power because it belongs to the final chapter of an iconic design. The wheat ears would disappear just a decade later, replaced by a new image that marked a cultural shift. Coins from these later wheat years carry a special emotional weight because they represent the closing moments of a long-running symbol. Collectors are drawn to endings as much as beginnings, and the 1948 issue stands near that symbolic edge, making it even more desirable when found in extraordinary condition. Condition is everything in this world, and it is unforgiving. Most 1948 wheat pennies lived rough lives. They were spent, dropped, scratched, corroded, and forgotten. That is exactly why top-condition survivors feel almost supernatural. Every decade that passes makes such coins rarer, not because they disappear, but because the standards for perfection become stricter. A coin that was once considered excellent may no longer qualify today. This constant tightening of rarity quietly pushes values higher and higher. There is also a psychological factor that cannot be ignored. The thought that life-changing wealth could be hiding in something so small creates obsession. It fuels late-night searches, careful examinations, and endless speculation. The 1948 wheat penny thrives in that psychological space, where hope meets history. It reminds people that value is not always loud, shiny, or obvious. Sometimes it sits silently, waiting for someone patient enough to understand it. This is why anyone who believes they possess a special 1948 wheat penny should never rush. Cleaning it, selling it cheaply, or trusting the wrong buyer can destroy its potential instantly. In the rare coin world, one careless decision can erase millions in value. Knowledge protects wealth. Time multiplies it. The people who succeed are the ones who slow down, verify everything, and respect the object in their hands. Stories continue to surface of forgotten collections being rediscovered years later, and every time it happens, the legend of coins like the 1948 wheat penny grows stronger. These stories are not just about money. They are about patience, awareness, and the strange way history rewards those who pay attention. Each rediscovery reignites belief that somewhere, somehow, another extraordinary example may still exist, waiting to be recognized. The 1948 wheat penny is not magic, but it represents opportunity in its purest form. It proves that wealth does not always come from effort alone, but sometimes from understanding what others overlook. This coin teaches that history leaves behind clues, and those clues can be worth more than anyone imagines if treated with respect. In the end, this humble 1-cent coin stands as a reminder that fortune does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it whispers. The 1948 wheat penny carries the power of survival, rarity, and human desire, all pressed into a small circle of copper. If you ever come across one, remember that what you hold may not just be a coin. In rare cases, it may be a turning point capable of changing a destiny overnight. Third up, the 1955 wheat penny is not just a coin, it is a legend that refuses to die, a small copper circle that carries more stories, myths, and life-changing potential than almost any other 1-cent coin in American history. To the untrained eye, it looks ordinary, even forgettable, but in the world of serious collectors, the year 1955 triggers instant attention. This penny was created during a time when America was confident, powerful, and rapidly moving forward, yet behind that confidence was a minting system that sometimes failed in spectacular ways. Those failures, combined with survival and rarity, are what transformed this humble penny into one of the most talked-about coins of all time. What makes the 1955 wheat penny so powerful is the way history accidentally shaped it. The United States Mint was producing enormous quantities of pennies to keep up with a booming economy. Speed mattered more than perfection, and when machines are pushed beyond their limits, mistakes happen. Most of those mistakes were destroyed or went unnoticed, but a very small number escaped into circulation. These coins were never meant to exist, and that is exactly why they became priceless. The idea that something so small could slip through the system and later shock the world is what fuels the legend of this year. The 1955 wheat penny represents a moment when imperfection became more valuable than perfection. Collectors are drawn to coins that break expectations, coins that tell a story of human error, pressure, and chance. When a coin from this year shows extraordinary characteristics combined with strong preservation, it becomes more than metal. It becomes proof that history does not always follow rules. This is where value separates itself from logic and enters the realm of obsession. In extremely rare cases, a 1955 wheat penny can exist in a condition so remarkable that it feels unreal for a coin that should have been spent, damaged, or lost long ago. These coins show bold details, deep natural color, and surfaces untouched by cleaning or abuse. Every letter, every line, every curve tells a story of survival. When such a coin appears, it instantly attracts attention from collectors who understand how impossible that survival truly is. At that level, value stops being measured in cents or even thousands, and conversations begin that most people will never hear. The demand surrounding the 1955 wheat penny is unlike almost any other penny. Wheat pennies are already one of the most collected coins in the world, but this year carries an emotional charge. Collectors don't just want it, they chase it. When demand becomes emotional, prices become dangerous. Buyers compete not because they need the coin, but because they fear never seeing another one like it again. This fear is what pushes values into territory that sounds unbelievable to outsiders. The idea that a 1-cent coin could hold the power to change someone's life overnight sounds like fantasy, but the rare coin market has proven again and again that reality can be stranger than imagination. When a 1955 wheat penny reaches the highest level of recognition, it can attract individuals whose wealth operates on a completely different scale. At that level, price becomes secondary to ownership. The coin becomes a trophy, a symbol, and a statement of power. There is also the mystery that surrounds where these coins might still be hiding. Not every valuable coin sits in a museum or auction catalog. Some remain buried in old collections, inherited boxes, forgotten drawers, or jars that haven't been opened in decades. This possibility keeps the legend alive. Every year that passes without a new discovery makes existing examples more valuable, and the dream of finding one even stronger. The 1955 wheat penny also holds historical weight because it exists near the end of the wheat design era. It represents a closing chapter of a symbol that defined American coinage for generations. Collectors are deeply drawn to these final years because they feel like the last heartbeat of a long tradition. When rarity and symbolism collide, value multiplies. This is why coins from this period command such intense respect. Condition is ruthless in this world. Most 1955 wheat pennies were destroyed by time, handling, and neglect. They were never meant to survive in pristine form. That is why coins that did survive feel almost impossible. Each decade makes them rarer, not because they vanish, but because standards rise. What was once acceptable is no longer enough. Only the strongest survivors remain at the top, and those survivors carry staggering power. The psychology behind this coin cannot be ignored. The thought that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in something so small creates obsession. It keeps people searching, learning, and hoping. The 1955 wheat penny thrives in this space between hope and history. It reminds people that value is often hidden, silent, and patient, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. This is why anyone who believes they might possess a special 1955 wheat penny must slow down. Cleaning it, selling it cheaply, or trusting the wrong person can destroy its potential instantly. In the rare coin world, one careless action can erase a fortune. Knowledge is protection. Patience is power. Those who understand this survive. Those who rush regret it forever. Stories continue to circulate of old pennies being rediscovered and re-examined with new understanding. Each story adds fuel to the legend. Each discovery proves that history still has secrets. The 1955 wheat penny stands as proof that the past is not finished rewarding those who respect it. This coin is not just about money. It is about awareness. It teaches that the smallest objects can carry the greatest weight. It shows that history leaves behind opportunities disguised as ordinary things. The people who recognize them are the ones who change their future. In the end, the 1955 Wheat Penny is a symbol of hidden destiny. A 1-cent coin that challenges logic, rewards patience, and punishes ignorance. If you ever hold one, remember that you may not just be holding copper. In rare circumstances, you may be holding the power to rewrite your entire life overnight. Fourth up. The 1951 Wheat Penny is one of those coins that almost dares people to underestimate it. At first glance, it looks calm, ordinary, and harmless, just another brown cent from the mid-20th century. Yet within the world of serious collectors, this year carries a quiet tension, because it belongs to a time when America was powerful, confident, and racing forward faster than its systems could always control. The penny was struck during an era of intense industrial output, when the nation's focus was growth and speed, not perfection. That environment created millions of coins meant for quick use, but it also created rare survivors that were never supposed to remain flawless, and those survivors are where the legend of the 1951 Wheat Penny truly begins. This coin was born in the shadow of global change. The world had recently been reshaped by war, and the United States had emerged as a dominant force. The mint was under constant pressure to produce massive quantities of coinage to fuel a growing economy. When production increases, subtle flaws and variations become inevitable. Most of these pennies were handled roughly, spent quickly, and forgotten. But a tiny number avoided that fate, slipping through time untouched. These are the coins that collectors whisper about, because they represent something extremely rare: survival against odds. What gives the 1951 Wheat Penny its potential power is not hype, but contrast. Millions were made, yet almost all were destroyed by everyday life. Scratches, wear, corrosion, and careless cleaning eliminated the vast majority from ever being considered special. When a coin from this year appears with sharp details, strong wheat lines, clean surfaces, and natural color, it immediately separates itself from the rest. At that point, it is no longer judged as common currency, but as a historical artifact that somehow escaped damage for decades. In the rarest cases, a 1951 Wheat Penny can exist in a condition so extraordinary that it feels almost impossible. These coins show clarity that seems frozen in time, as if they were never meant to circulate at all. Every letter stands proud, every design element remains intact, and the surface tells a story of preservation rather than abuse. Coins like this do not appear often, and when they do, they attract attention from collectors who understand how rare true originality has become in the modern market. The market for coins like the 1951 Wheat Penny is driven by more than numbers. It is driven by emotion, rivalry, and fear of loss. Wheat pennies are among the most beloved coins in existence, collected by people across generations and continents. When a coin combines a classic design with extreme condition rarity, demand becomes intense. Collectors don't just want it, they feel they must have it. This emotional pressure is what pushes values far beyond what logic alone would suggest. The idea that a 1-cent coin could unlock unimaginable wealth sounds impossible until you understand how the top level of collecting works. At the highest end, buyers are not comparing prices, they are competing for status and ownership. When a coin becomes recognized as one of the finest known examples of its year, it enters a different financial universe. Conversations shift from public auctions to private negotiations, and values are no longer discussed openly. This is where legends are born and where life-changing outcomes become possible. The 1951 Wheat Penny also gained strength from its place within the wheat design era. It exists during the later years of a design that defined American coinage for nearly half a century. Coins from this period feel like echoes of a fading symbol, and collectors are naturally drawn to moments near the end of an era. This emotional connection adds another layer of desirability, especially when combined with rarity and preservation. Condition, in this world, is unforgiving and absolute. A small mistake can erase massive value. Most 1951 wheat pennies were damaged long ago without anyone thinking twice. That reality makes untouched examples feel almost unnatural. Each year that passes makes them rarer, not because they vanish, but because standards become stricter. What once passed as excellent is now ordinary. Only the strongest survivors remain at the top. There is also a psychological magnetism attached to this coin. The thought that hidden wealth could be sitting unnoticed creates obsession. It makes people re-examine old collections, inherited jars, and forgotten boxes. The 1951 wheat penny thrives in that space between hope and history. It reminds people that fortune does not always come dressed in luxury. Sometimes it comes disguised as something small and ignored. This is why anyone who believes they may have a special 1951 wheat penny should never rush. Cleaning it, selling it cheaply, or trusting the wrong opinion can destroy its potential instantly. In the rare coin world, patience is not optional, it is survival. One careless decision can erase what decades of preservation created. Knowledge protects value, and time multiplies it. Stories continue to emerge of old coins being rediscovered and re-evaluated years later. Each story strengthens the belief that history still hides rewards. Every rediscovery proves that not all treasures have been found. The legend of the 1951 wheat penny grows not because of exaggeration, but because the possibility still exists. This coin teaches a powerful lesson about awareness. Value is not always obvious. The world is full of objects that appear ordinary but carry extraordinary meaning to those who understand them. The 1951 wheat penny represents that truth perfectly. It shows how history, rarity, and human desire can combine to create something far greater than its physical form. In the end, the 1951 wheat penny stands as a symbol of hidden destiny. A 1-cent coin that challenges assumptions, rewards patience, and punishes ignorance. If you ever come across one, remember that you may not just be holding copper. In rare circumstances, you may be holding a silent opportunity capable of changing a life overnight. Fifth up. The 1957 wheat penny is one of those coins that quietly carries the weight of an ending, a small copper witness to the final moments of an era that shaped American coinage for generations. To most people, it looks like nothing more than an old penny, darkened by time and easily overlooked. But within the world of collectors, the year 1957 carries a strange energy, because it stands so close to the disappearance of the wheat design itself. This coin was struck at a moment when America was confident, prosperous, and rapidly modernizing, yet that same momentum created conditions where rarity was born without intention. What survived from that year tells a story far bigger than its size. By 1957, the United States Mint was operating with efficiency and speed, producing enormous numbers of coins to support a growing population and expanding economy. Pennies were meant to move quickly from mint to pocket, from pocket to counter, and then vanish into daily life. No one expected them to become valuable. Yet history has a strange habit of rewarding what survives against expectation. Most 1957 wheat pennies were worn down by circulation, damaged by handling, or destroyed by careless cleaning. Only a very small number escaped that fate, and those survivors now sit in a completely different category of value. What makes the 1957 wheat penny so fascinating is that it represents both abundance and loss at the same time. Millions were produced, but perfection was never guaranteed. Tiny differences in how the metal flowed, how the design struck, and how the coin was handled created dramatic separation over time. When a 1957 wheat penny appears with strong detail, full wheat lines, sharp lettering, and natural untouched surfaces, it immediately commands attention. At that level, the coin is no longer judged by its age alone, but by how impossibly well it resisted decades of damage. In extremely rare cases, a 1957 wheat penny can exist in a condition so exceptional that it feels almost unreal. These coins appear as if time passed around them rather than through them. Their surfaces remain clean, their details bold, and their color natural and alive. Such a coin is not common history, it is preserved history. When collectors encounter an example like this, the conversation instantly changes. It stops being about pennies and starts being about opportunity. The market for wheat pennies is one of the most emotional corners of the collecting world, and the 1957 issue holds special power within it. Collectors are drawn to the final wheat years because they symbolize closure. People value endings because they cannot be repeated. When rarity, condition, and symbolism collide, demand intensifies. That demand does not grow slowly. It spikes, fueled by competition and fear of missing out. This is how an ordinary-looking penny begins to attract extraordinary attention. The idea that a 1-cent coin could hold the potential for unimaginable wealth sounds impossible until you understand how the top level of collecting truly works. At the highest tier, buyers are not comparing prices, they are competing for legacy. When a coin becomes recognized as one of the finest known survivors of its year, it enters a realm where money behaves differently. Private negotiations replace public listings, and numbers are discussed quietly, sometimes never recorded at all. The 1957 wheat penny also carries power because it stands so close to the end of a long tradition. Just 1 year later, the wheat ears would disappear forever, replaced by a new design that marked a cultural shift. Coins from this final stretch feel like the last heartbeat of something familiar. Collectors feel that emotionally, and emotion drives value just as strongly as rarity. This is why late-era wheat pennies in extreme condition command such intense respect. Condition is merciless in this world. A single scratch, a harsh cleaning, or improper storage can destroy enormous potential. Most 1957 wheat pennies never stood a chance. They were used exactly as intended. That reality makes pristine survivors feel almost unnatural. Each year that passes tightens the definition of what qualifies as truly exceptional. Coins that once seemed impressive no longer qualify. Only the rarest remain at the top. There is also a psychological force attached to this coin that cannot be ignored. The idea that life-changing value could be hiding in something so small creates obsession. It pushes people to re-examine old jars, inherited collections, and forgotten drawers. The 1957 wheat penny lives in that space between hope and history, where belief keeps the legend alive. It reminds people that fortune does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it waits quietly. This is why anyone who believes they may possess a special 1957 wheat penny should never rush. Cleaning it, selling it cheaply, or trusting the wrong advice can destroy its potential instantly. In the rare coin world, patience is protection. Knowledge is power. One careless moment can erase what decades of survival created. Those who understand this preserve value. Those who don't lose it forever. Stories continue to surface of coins being rediscovered years later and suddenly re-evaluated under modern standards. Each rediscovery strengthens the myth and proves that history still hides rewards. Every time it happens, belief is renewed that another extraordinary example could still be waiting somewhere, unseen and underestimated. The 1957 wheat penny teaches a powerful lesson about awareness. Value is not always obvious, and history does not reward those who rush. It rewards those who recognize significance before others do. This coin represents how ordinary objects can carry extraordinary potential when viewed through the right lens. In the end, the 1957 wheat penny stands as a symbol of hidden destiny. A 1-cent coin that marks the closing moments of an era, carrying rarity, emotion, and possibility within its copper surface. If you ever come across one, remember that you may not just be holding a penny. In rare circumstances, you may be holding a silent opportunity with the power to change a future overnight. Sixth up. The 1944 wheat penny is one of the most powerful and misunderstood coins in American history, a small copper witness to a world at war and a nation pushed to its limits. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary penny, worn and quiet, carrying the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln and the wheat ears on the back. But the year 1944 was anything but ordinary. The world was burning, industries were strained, and every ounce of metal mattered. Coins produced during this time were born under pressure, uncertainty, and urgency, and that pressure left behind stories hidden inside the metal itself. This penny was created during one of the most intense moments in human history, when resources were being redirected, systems were stretched, and perfection was often sacrificed for speed. The U.S. Mint was focused on keeping the economy moving while the nation fought a global war. Pennies were not meant to be treasures, they were tools. Yet history has a strange habit of turning tools into relics. The chaos of wartime production created conditions where rare outcomes could exist, and the 1944 wheat penny sits right at the center of that reality. What gives the 1944 wheat penny its legendary status is the contrast between how common it once was and how rare perfection has become. Millions were produced, passed hand to hand, dropped on streets, and scraped across counters. Almost all were damaged by time. That is why coins from this year that survived in extraordinary condition feel almost impossible. When a 1944 wheat penny appears with sharp details, strong wheat lines, untouched surfaces, and natural color, it immediately separates itself from the ocean of ordinary examples. In extremely rare situations, A 1944 wheat penny can exist in a state so pristine that it challenges belief. These coins appear as if they were never meant to circulate, as if time simply forgot them. Every letter stands bold, every design element remains crisp, and the surface shows no signs of abuse. Such a coin is not just old, it is preserved history. At this level, collectors stop thinking in cents or even thousands. They begin thinking in terms of legacy and ownership. The demand for wheat pennies is global, emotional, and relentless, and the 1944 issue carries an extra layer of intensity because of its wartime origin. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a piece of survival. When demand meets extreme rarity, prices no longer move logically. They surge. Competition replaces patience, and fear of missing out becomes stronger than reason. This is how a 1-cent coin enters conversations involving unimaginable sums. The idea that a penny could hold the power to change someone's life overnight sounds unrealistic to outsiders, but the rare coin world has always operated beyond common sense. At the highest level, buyers are not shopping, they are competing. When a coin becomes recognized as one of the finest surviving examples of its year, it enters a different financial universe. Deals happen quietly, often privately, and numbers are spoken carefully, if at all. The 1944 wheat penny also carries emotional weight because it represents endurance. It was created when the future was uncertain and survival was not guaranteed. That symbolism matters deeply to collectors. Coins tied to struggle, sacrifice, and resilience carry a gravity that later issues cannot replicate. When such symbolism combines with extreme condition rarity, value multiplies rapidly. Condition is unforgiving and absolute in this world. A single cleaning attempt, a small scratch, or improper storage can destroy massive potential instantly. Most 1944 wheat pennies never had a chance. They lived hard lives, exactly as intended. That reality makes pristine survivors feel almost unnatural. Each decade that passes raises the standard for what qualifies as truly exceptional, pushing the rarest examples further out of reach. There is also a psychological magnetism attached to this coin. The thought that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in something so small fuels obsession. It drives people to re-examine old collections, inherited boxes, and forgotten jars. The 1944 wheat penny thrives in that space between hope and history, where belief keeps the legend alive and possibility never fully disappears. This is why anyone who believes they might possess a special 1944 wheat penny must slow down. Rushing to sell, cleaning the coin, or trusting the wrong advice can erase its future instantly. In the rare coin world, patience is protection. Knowledge is survival. One careless decision can destroy what decades of preservation created. Stories continue to surface of wartime pennies being rediscovered and suddenly re-evaluated with modern understanding. Each rediscovery strengthens the legend and proves that history still hides rewards. Every time it happens, belief is renewed that another extraordinary example could still be waiting somewhere, silent and overlooked. The 1944 wheat penny teaches a powerful lesson about value. Worth is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is hidden inside history, waiting for someone to recognize it. This coin shows how survival, rarity, and human emotion can transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. It is not magic, but it is opportunity. The people who benefit are the ones who respect the object in their hands and understand what they are holding. History does not reward impatience. It rewards awareness. In the end, the 1944 wheat penny stands as a symbol of hidden destiny born in a time of global struggle. A 1-cent coin forged under pressure, carrying rarity, emotion, and possibility within its copper surface. If you ever come across one, remember that you may not just be holding a penny. In rare circumstances, you may be holding a silent force powerful enough to change a life overnight.